Exactly 50 years ago on this day, India pulled off the biggest and most decisive military win it has ever witnessed. On 16 December 1971, nearly 93,000 Pakistani military and government officials led by Lieutenant General A.K. Niazi, the commander of East Pakistan, surrendered before the Indian Army after just 14 days of war. This was the largest surrender by an army since World War II and led to the division of Pakistan and the creation of a new country, Bangladesh. Today, as India aims for theaterization of the military, the 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War is considered to be the finest example of cohesive war fighting. The war saw the political class, the army, Air Force, Navy, intelligence agencies, and the paramilitary forces coming together in pulling off a win that caught the world by surprise. It is the only war that the country has fought with both the Eastern Theatre and the Western Theatre active with heavy fighting and hence can be called an actual two-front war in a way. While the then East Pakistan and now Bangladesh lay to the east of India, the western sector saw intense fighting too. 3 out of the 4 Paramveer Chakras awarded as part of the 1971 war went to 3 who fought in the western sector: Flying Officer Nirmaljeet Singh Sekho, Major Hoshiar Singh, and Second Lieutenant Arun Khetarpal. It is also the only war that saw all the 3 wings of the defense, that is the Army, the Navy and the Air Force, fighting together in multiple theatres. 50 years later, that is today, a small controversy has crept up as India and Bangladesh celebrate the victory. A number of books have been written about the 1971 war, looking at various aspects including personalities involved. However, a recent book, that is India and the Bangladesh Liberation War, the definitive story, written by Chandrasekhar Dasgupta, a diplomat who has been India's former ambassador to China and the European Union, has come under scrutiny. The book seeks to contradict Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, who was the then Army Chief's claim that in April 1971, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi wanted the army to launch an immediate offensive into East Pakistan to counter the trail of atrocities launched by Lieutenant General Tika Khan, who is known as the Butcher of Bangladesh. Manekshaw had himself recounted what had happened on the afternoon of April 29, 1971, when Gandhi had called an urgent cabinet meeting. Besides Manekshaw, who was a special invitee, those present were Defence Minister Jagjeevan Ram, External Affairs Minister Sardar Swaran Singh, Agriculture Minister Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, Finance Minister Y.B. Chauhan, besides, of course, the Prime Minister. What are you doing? Manekshaw had recounted what a fuming Gandhi had asked, throwing reports of refugee influx from East Pakistan sent by the West Bengal Chief Minister. By the West Bengal Chief Minister on the table. I want you to walk into East Pakistan, she said, to which he responded, that means war. And the Prime Minister's response was, I don't mind if it is war. Manekshaw quoted himself as saying, I have only 30 tanks and 2 armored divisions with me. The Himalayan passes will be opening anytime. What if the Chinese give an ultimatum? The rains will start now in East Pakistan. When it rains there, the rivers become oceans. I guarantee 100% defeat. According to him, Gandhi adjourned the meeting at about 1600 hours but held him back. And he said, shall I send in my resignation on grounds of health, mental or physical? But Gandhi gave her army chief the time he wanted to elaborate his strategy. However, Dasgupta in his book says that while she was under pressure from some of her cabinet colleagues to intervene in April 1971, Gandhi had already made up her mind to wait for several months. He seeks to contradict that it was Manekshaw who actually prevented the war from taking place in April that ultimately led to the victory. He quotes her then principal advisor P.N. Husker saying, "We cannot at the present stage contemplate armed intervention at all. It would evoke hostile reactions from all over the world, and all the sympathy and support which the Bangladesh cause has been able to evoke in the world will be drowned in Indo-Pak conflict." It should be noted that Gandhi's biographers such as Pupul Jayakar had mentioned about Manekshaw's version of events. Now let's look at the origin of the war itself. While the 1971 war officially started on 3rd December that year, the origin of the war actually dates back to at least 2 decades, if not more. While the immediate cause of resentment in the then East Pakistan was elections called by the dictator General Khan, the seeds were sown in February 1948 when the Pakistani government declared Urdu as the national language. This decision irked the Bengali-speaking East Pakistan and people revolted. The first protest against this decision broke out at Dhaka University on 11th March 1948, where Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, a university student then, was a key participant. The police had opened fire, sparking off a chain of events which eventually led to the creation of Bangladesh. Even as the differences grew between East and West Pakistan during the tenure of General Ayub Khan, who became the president in a coup in 1958, the final nail was struck during the tenure of General Yahya Khan. He had refused to convene parliament after the 1970 elections, in which the East Pakistan-based Awami League, led by Rahman, decisively won against Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's Pakistan's People's Party. Operation Searchlight. In early 1971, India's new intelligence agency, Research and Analysis Wing, known as the RAW, headed by the legendary Indian spy Rameshwar Nath Kao, who was in 1968 a deputy director in the Intelligence Bureau when given charge to set up the new organization, had started getting inputs from Pakistan and Sri Lanka that multiple commercial flights were moving into East Pakistan from the west, with fueling stop in Colombo. Kao suspected that soldiers from the West Pakistan were being ferried into East Pakistan for larger scale operations. On March 25, 1971, the Pakistan Army officially launched its campaign of genocide under Operation Searchlight under Lieutenant General Khan, by unleashing death squads that, according to reports, mercilessly killed 7,000 unarmed innocent Bengalis in one single night. This continued for days, and once the military realized that the war was not going to end after the systematic campaign of targeting the elites, Pakistan military and the militia shifted course and began to actively target the female Bengali population through rape. The policy was driven in the hopes of psychologically breaking the men and women of the Bengali society. As days passed, lakhs and lakhs of refugees started coming into India from East Pakistan. This turned out to be a catastrophe for India, which could no longer sit idle and watch. And this is when Indira Gandhi called for the cabinet meeting on April 29th, as mentioned earlier. So what really happened after the April meeting? From April to August, the plans, that is the military plans, were made for the operation. Remember that till then the army was focusing on the western borders, and those with China and East Pakistan was not the focus for any full-fledged operations. However, the RAW was keeping a close watch on the developments in both West and East Pakistan and briefing Gandhi regularly. It was in August when the legendary Lieutenant General Sagat Singh received his operational instructions and moved to Tripura in September. While operational instructions were issued only in August, Manekshaw had already ordered for the movement and works by the border roads personnel for making of roads and bridges. On the Eastern Front, Indian Army's 3 corps, not 3 corps, but 3 corps defeated 4 divisions and 30,000 paramilitary forces of the Pakistan Army in the war. While the war was fought, there were numerous battles that remain etched in the history as finest moments of bravery, and one important one was the Tangale operation. This was an operation by the 2nd Battalion of the Parachute Regiment. Under this, a battalion plus was airdropped to capture the Pungli Bridge on the Jamalpur-Tangail-Dhaka route and the ferry site. While the sight of about 600 soldiers dropping from air with parachute itself was a sight to fear, an out-of-box thinking by information officer Ram Mohan Rao, who later joined RAW, was the surprise element. Rao found a photograph which showed the descent of a brigade of about 5,000 soldiers in Agra. On 12th December, the officer who was then handling the media publicity sent the photo from Agra event along with news of the Tangail airdrop to all leading international newspapers. Conveniently, he didn't mention in the press release that it was a file photo. Only Kao was aware of what the PR officer had done. This had a psychological impact on the Pakistani soldiers who were already feeling the pressure. Now, Navy's role in the war. India's naval offense started on 4th December when Vikrant-based aircraft and ships of the Eastern Fleet struck military targets in East Pakistan. In the operation, Cox's Bazar airfield was damaged and 6 Pakistani ships were destroyed at the Chittagong harbour. The Pakistani submarine Ghazi, which was trying to home in on Vikrant, was sunk off the coast of Visakhapatnam. Ships from the Western Fleet attacked Karachi harbour on 4th and 5th December and destroyed 3 ships besides causing damage to oil installations at the harbour. The Karachi harbour was attacked again on 8th December while a naval task force carried a diversionary raid on the Makran coast and captured a Pak merchant ship. The war ended with not just physical destruction but also Pakistan's psychological overpower by the Indian forces. The man credited for the spectacular naval operations during the 1971 war was then Navy Chief Admiral S.M. Nanda, who emerged as an outstanding leader of war who was daring and audacious. Now let's look at the IAF's role. Remember that the 1971 war was officially declared on 3rd December when Pakistani Air Force launched preemptive strike against IAF bases along the western borders. The IAF carried out 4,000 sorties in the west and 1,978 sorties in the east against Pak targets. Incidentally, the aerial conflict between India and Pakistan had actually began on 22nd November 1971, when at about 14:49 hours, 4 Pakistani fighter jets strafed Indian and Mukti Bahini positions in the Chaugacha More area. Within 10 minutes, as the Pakistani jets were in middle of the strafing run, they were intercepted by 4 from the number 22 Squadron, a detachment which was operating from the Dum Dum Airport, Calcutta. 3 of the Pakistani jets were shot down and all Indian fighters returned to the base safely. There is no doubt about the crucial role played by the IAF during the 1971 war. It had tipped the scale in India's favor in the eastern sector and ensured that Pakistani jets remained in defensive role in the western sector. This ensured that Pakistani fighters were not able to cause much damage to the Indian forces on the ground. Continuous air assaults impacted the morale of the Pakistan Army. As per the IAF, in the West, the primary task was disruption of enemy communications, the destruction of fuel and ammunition reserves, and the prevention of any ground force concentrations so that no major offensive could be mounted against India while Indian forces were primarily engaged in the East. On the Eastern Front, the IAF's role was to provide direct support to the ground forces, launching multiple operations including rapid moving infantry and the armor advancing from 3 directions, airborne and heliborne assaults, missile bombardments from ship, and an amphibious landing. The IAF also won its first and only Paramveer Chakra in this war. It was awarded to Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekhon. For The Print, this is Snehesh Alex Philip. Do subscribe to our Print's YouTube channel for more such videos.